blood, come the prince that was promised, and his will be the song of ice and fire.
Welcome back, Watchers Beyond the Wall. My name is Monica, and if you don't know who I am, I post videos pertaining to a Song of Ice and Fire content, and a little bit of whatever is on my mind. Here, we deep dive and overanalyze re-watching shows and movies over and over again to understand what the writer is trying to tell us. Without further ado, brace yourselves for rewatch. Long before the rise of Valyria's fiery might, known as the Freehold of Valyria, whispers of an ancient and enigmatic race echoed through the shadowy forests of Westeros. The children of the forest, keepers of arcane knowledge, and wielders of a magic older than dragon fire itself.
And only one skin changer in 1,000 can be a greenseer. I thought the greenseers were the wizards of the children, Bran said.
Once ruled the woods as eerie and serene as themselves. Children of the forest, though elusive and mysterious stewards of the natural world, had long been shrouded in mystery and legend. Known for their ancient magic and their connection to weirwoods, their ability to see events known as green seeing, the children were not mere victims of history, they were its architects. Nowhere is there subtle yet profound influence more evident than in the series of events leading to the doom of Valyria.
The doom came to Valyria. To this day, no one knows what caused the doom. Most say that it was a natural cataclysm, a catastrophic explosion caused by the eruption of all 14 flames together.
The rise of House Targaryen, and the enigmatic transformation of Brandon Rivers into the three-eyed crow. To the Valyrians, who forged their power through fire and blood, these sensitive beings represented not an enigma, but a deep-rooted fear. Though separated by the ocean and centuries, the Valyrians could not escape the legends of the children's sorcery, or the ominous rumors of their connection to the weirwood trees. For all the strength of dragons and steel, even the most mightiest of empires quake before the unknown. Far from being passive observers, the children of the forest are theorized to have manipulated key historical events to safeguard their vision of balance and survival.
But those who sing the Song of Earth was their own name for themselves, in the true tongue that no human could speak. The ravens could speak it though. Their small black eyes were full of secrets, and they would claw at him and peck his skin when they heard the songs.
By extinguishing the cataclysmic event known as the Doom of Valyria, it ultimately set a precedent and extinguished a threat looming across the horizon while ensuring the survival of Aegon the Conqueror's bloodline, a lineage that would bring forth dragons to Westeros, but also serving a higher purpose, a hidden agenda. What could strike fear in the hearts of dragon lords, the master of flame and sky, not armies or conquerors, but shadows that whispered of unseen power? The children did not need dragons to inspire terror. They had the trees, the stone, and the very foundation of the earth beneath the Valyrians' feet, and they were watching.
The deep-cut eyes red with dried sap and strangely watchful. They were old, those eyes, older than Winterfell itself.
The children's ancestral foresight may have guided Aegon's conquest, not as a mere act of ambition, but a deep-seated step into something greater, a plan that had been set in motion for generations to come, manipulating dreams and visions to their own sick end.
But ambition alone is not what drove him to conquest. It was a dream. And just as Daenerys foresaw the end of Valyria, Aegon foresaw the end of the world of men. Just to begin with a terrible winter,
gusting out of the distant north.
Their influence did not stop there. Generations later, Brandon Rivers, the illegitimate son of a Targaryen prince and a woman of First Men descent, would become a key figure in their plans, carefully crafting through centuries of intervention and instability. Brandon Rivers transformed into the three-eyed crow, bridging the gap between the past and the future, enabling the children of the forest to manipulate their unseen grip on the course of history itself. Through him, the fears of the Valyrians were resurrected, proof that the power of the children of the forest was not truly extinguished. From all the shadows and sprawling tales, even the might of dragon lords periled in comparison through the eerie weirwood trees, and the might of memories surged in fire and blood, and the forests intertwining its own wrath to call upon something ancient and dark. This intricate web of deception and manipulation reveals a startling truth. The children of the forest may not be simply passerbyers of a bygone era, but an unseen architect of the foundation and destiny of Westeros itself, using their magic and influence and foresight to bend the will of dragons, kings, and men to their favor. The story of the Doom, the Targaryens, and the Three-Eyed Crow is not one of convenience, but one of carefully crafted deliverance, guided by hands of a being far older and wiser than any of our mortal comprehension. Welcome back to this week's video. I just wanted to come in here and let you guys know that this video is relating to the Doom of Valyria and a wild theory that one of you guys actually came up with and told me I could make a video about it. I just wanted it to be very clear that I am no way taking credit for this theory. I have expanded on key points, but I would have not come up with the theory unless it was for this comment. And there's other similar theories out there that I will give links to in the description below. I just wanted to make this disclaimer so that you guys understand this is not my theory. I have added stuff to it, but I did not come up with this on my own. Now let's get back in the regular scheduled programming. Background information. The children of the forest and the dragon riders of Old Valyria stand as two of the most enigmatic and powerful entities within the history of Westeros and Essos. These ancient people, surrounded by vast oceans and culture deeply enriched within the fabric of these two continents, were more or less bonded by the mysterious elements of nature and the mystique of fire and blood. Their legacy having shaped the course of history itself in profound ways and lasting ways than just one. The children of the forest delved in mystical beings, navigating Westeros through the original inhabitants of its lands, landing before the arrival of men in the Dawn Age.
The tales written down by the Andals, by the Valyrians, and by the Gascari, and even by those distant people of fabled Ashai. Yet however ancient those lettered races, they were not even children during the Dawn Age.
An area surrounded by mystery and legend, the children of the forest coexisted with giants, an ancient race of creatures, in a world untouched by the inhabitants of mankind. They were stewards of the natural world, living in harmony with the trees and wielding powerful magic that would connect them through the past and present of the ancient weirwood trees. Harnessing this gift, it became the foundational of their spirituality of the old gods. The children also crafted the first weapons of obsidian or dragon glass that we are aware of. At the other end of the known world, the Valyrian freehold rose to prominence thousands of years later, forging an empire unparalleled to its might and magic. The Valyrians were dragon lords, a people who discovered the untapped ability to ride and tame dragons.
The line must be kept pure, the series had told her 1,000 times. Theirs was the king's blood, the golden blood of old Valyria, the blood of the dragon. Dragons did not mate with the beasts of the field, and Targaryens did not mingle their blood with that of lesser men.
using their unmatched power to conquer much of Essos and reshaping its political and cultural landscape. The freehold began as a modest settlement near the 14th Flames, a volcanic region rich in nature resources and magic. Over time, the Valyrians mastered blood magic and forged Valyrian steel swords, crafting weapons and tools of legendary quality, governed by a council of freeholders rather than kings or emperors. The freehold flourished for centuries, expanding its reach and influence through fire and blood. While the Children of the Forest civilization was deeply enrooted in nature and spiritual harmony, the Valyrians embodied the apex of human ambition and master over the elements. Despite their differences, both people were shaped by the connection to their magic, and their perspectives of rising and falling were intertwined with the mysterious powers. As the Dawn Age gave way to the coming of the first men and the rising of Valyria, this set the stage for a world forever marked by the legacy of these two ancient races. The Children of the Forest, though small in stature, are not humans at all. Although childlike in demeanor and capability, their physical features set them apart from any known being that dwells within Westeros. Nut brown skin, dappled with a pattern that akin to deer's, giving them almost a melancholy or ethereal, otherworldly look to them. They truly do look like forest creatures.
They had nut brown skin, dappled like a deer's with paler spots, and large ears that could hear things that no man could hear.
Their three-fingered hands, tipped with sharp black claws, suggest an evolutionary adaptation for survival. Their large slitted eyes, often gold or green, grant them night vision in the darkest of places. With their sensitive ears, they are allowed to hear incredibly well, that rather than a human which can only hear the bare minimum. They are able to scout out their environment and attune to their adaptation within the forest.
Their eyes were big too, great golden cat's eyes that could see down passages where a boy's eyes saw only blackness. Their hands had only 3 fingers and a thumb, with sharp black claws instead of nails.
The children's grace and swift movements are akin to the nature itself. They embody themselves with cloaks woven of leaves and vine, binding a seamless flow to their surroundings. Their deep connection to nature is also reflected in their longevity, as they may live for centuries, sustaining a continuity that grants them unparalleled wisdom. Their culture is steeped in music, often expressed through the true tongue, a harsh and tangy language that seems otherworldly. Occasionally, a child is born with moss-green eyes or blood-red eyes, a mark of divine purpose and selection by the old gods. This individual trait is known as green seeing. A rare and formative gift of green sight enables them to experience prophetic dreams, visions, and to see across time and space. However, this power comes at a cost. Green seers are often fragile, and their earthly lives are brief, though they can bond to ancient weirwood trees to extend their existence, becoming vessels of an ancient knowledge and spiritual connection. Green seers among the Children of the Forest are gifted with innate abilities of green sight that can also allow them to war. They were believed to have carved ancient faces within the weirwood, creating the heart trees, and could see through these faces to influence.
Legend further holds that the green seers could also delve into the past and see far into the future. But as all our learning has shown us, the higher mysteries that claim this power also claim that their visions of the things to come are unclear and often misleading.
both the natural world and possibly glimmer through the past and present or future. Maesters proclaim these are just urban legends and fantastical tales people tell each other to scare their children in the night. During the conflict between the first men and the children of the forest, green seers were said to lay waste to armies, conjure prolific beasts to attack humans, and use their magic to reshape the land as we know it today. A common instance that arises is the such of shattering the arm of Dorn and the flooding of the neck. These powers were displayed to ward off the crossing of the first men, although they had already settled within Westeros and it was too late. The Green Seers later made pact with the children of the forest at the Isle of Faces. Greenside, although rare, one is only born in 1,000 years, being a skin changer, and one in 1,000 of years can become a green seer.
But all the tales agree that the most common skin changers were men who controlled wolves, even dire wolves, and these had a special name among the wildlings.
These numbers are slim, but if we are to believe that the children of the forest are the villains of the story, maybe their powers were dumbed down on purpose. After all, they can manipulate the historical records in their favor. They were often identified by their red or green eyes, a distraction to the regular golden eyes of the children of the forest. The children of the forest's diet often was the sustenance that they could grant within the forest. Mushrooms, leaves, forest dwellings, they never really hunted anything besides fish. The gain they could get with dried berries is often what they ate. They had tree villages and also they used caves and other land masses. Despite the simple tools and simplistic lifestyle of the children of the forest, we must understand that they had powerful abilities that could grant them foresight over all. Although they were only woodcrafters and barely used stones and obsidian to craft small weapons, the possibility of them orchestrating events is still great. Cultural practices and beliefs. The children of the forest likely lived in small clans, foresting a capability beyond one's deep connection within the rhythm of nature.
This was a place of deep silence and brooding shadows, and the gods who lived here had no names. But she knew she would find her husband here tonight. Whenever he took a man's life, afterwards he would seek the quiet of the gods' wood.
They forested metals, textiles, and the construction of cities, choosing instead to live as a steward of the land, allowing the land to live in peaceful harmony with one another. Both men and women rather hunted together as equals rather as opposites. Arms were crafted by bows and obsidian and intricate snares. Their existence, though meek compared to human expansion, were deeply spiritual and entwined with their environment. Centered to their culture was worshipping the weirwood trees, which they believed give them devout reverence, carving faces into the trees to show them as guardians and sacred vessels for their prayers, embodying their belief that death is a transformation and is just a part of the natural world, which is funny because it takes them forever to die. So of course they would believe that.
The gods gave us long lives, but not great numbers, lest we overrun the world, as deer will overrun a wood, where there are no wolves to hunt them. That was in the dawn of days, when our sun was rising.
Their magical abilities, separating them in mysticism and lore, expand far beyond their weapons. Legends speak of their powers to control animals, inhabit their skin, craft music so hauntingly beautiful it could move listeners to tears, and even communicate to the dead. Some maesters, such as Septon Both, explain that they most likely just communicated through vast distances through Raven, and not through magic. The mysterious connection and the unsolved question that the children's influence extended not only over Westeros but perhaps Essos as well. Parallels have been drawn up between the children of the forest and the Unquath or woodwalkers of northern Essos. The Dothraki speak of Vathlethi, a mysterious settlement of carved faces and haunted groves.
Now these were the days before the Andals came, and long before the women fled across the narrow sea from the cities of the Rhoyne, and the 100 kingdoms of those times were the kingdoms of the first men.
As evidence of their ancient crossing the narrow sea. With the connection remaining, speculators underscore children of the forest could have had some influence when it came to Essos. In summary, the children of the forest were far more than an ancient enigmatic being, people that stretched far beyond. They were the ones who shape our world within Westeros, as we see it, as we believe it, and our perception of them is inaccurate. They were not victims, they were the perpetrators. Their practices, beliefs, and powers reflect an unparalleled symbolism of this land's mysterious legend, carving the faces within the weirwood trees
Who were taking these lands from the children of the forest. Yet here and there, in the vastness of the woods, the children still lived in their wooden cities and hollow hills, and the faces in the trees kept watch.
proved that even now in present-day Game of Thrones, they still can see and manipulate. Their influence endures, hidden in plain sight within the weirwoods and the whispers of the wind. Their legacy still reigns on. The rise and fall of Valyria's freehold, a civilization of dragons and darkness. Valyria, often referred to as Old Valyria, stands as a haunting relic of ancient and unparalleled civilization, nestled within the volcanic ring of the 14th Flames on Valyria's peninsula. Valyria was once a thriving heart of the Valyria freehold, a vast empire defined by its mastery of dragons, magic, and military dominance, while now a city of ruin and ash. The remnants of its grandeur echoes through the heart of Westeros and Essos, a testament to its former glory and a warning of its ultimate downfall. The city of Valyria, long before its destruction by the cataclysmic events known as the Doom, was a place of wonder and innovation.
Sheltered there amidst the great volcanic mountains known as the 14 Flames were the Valyrians, who learned to tame dragons and make them the most fearsome weapon of war that the world ever saw.
Its topless towers rose to the heavens, buildings with architectural technology infused with magic. Dragons soared its skies, their shadows casting over tall buildings and oxes. Dragons soared in its skies, their shadows casting over the stone sphinxes adorned with glimmering wide eyes. Smiths, emboldened by the sorcery, forged Valyrian steel. An hour of unmatched sharpness and durability, endeared with enchantments that made it highly coveted. The magic of Old Valyria, though prominently extinguished, was highly coveted and sought out. The transformation of a civilization dependent on this otherworldly technology. At the corner of Valyrian society were the Dragon Lords, powerful aristocrats, and the control of dragon through magic. Rumors of them taming them by vast people from the Shadowlands have arisen.
These Ash-Eye histories say that a people so ancient they had no name first tamed dragons in the shadow and brought them to Valyria, teaching the Valyrians their arts before departing from the annals.
While the Valyrian lore claims that the dragons originated from the volcanic ruins of their homelands, accounts differ, saying they came from the Shadowlands of Ashai, suggesting that they were brought here to Valyria's freehold against their will. These creatures were not mere beasts, but a weapon of war, capable of reshaping the battlefield and casting dominance within the Valyrians' might. The supremacy backing the freehold was extinguished when it came to the doom. But the dragon lords of old Valyria had been safeguarded at Dragonstone via the Targaryens. Despite its grandeurs, Valyria was not without their sins, as conquest decimated thousands upon thousands of people, and they inhabited slaves by the thousands, delving into blood magic, which it is believed that that's how they controlled their ancient gods, known as the dragons. Other dark arts deeply embedded in the foundation of the height of Valyria also served to pillarize their society. The mastery of magic earned them a keen sensibility to harness their monstrosity creatures known as the dragons, which they twisted the laws of nature to match their perilous thirst of power. These practices, which many view as blasphemy, have earned them the reputation and caused the cataclysmic collapse known as the Doom. Others believe it was a reckoning by the gods for all the monstrosities they had committed. But perhaps it wasn't gods, but the children of the forest themselves. The Valyrians feared the children of the forest and knew of their existence the entire time. The Valyrians, renewed for their mastery of dragons and the powerful empire they forged, harbored a deep-seated fear of the children of the forest. Despite their technological and magical powers, they were unable to understand the mysterious lands of Westeros and the powerful influence the children had on certain events. Whether the children can influence their dragons and fire, they rather stayed away from the children altogether.
It is from this that legends of skin changers or beastlings arose. Hold that the skin changers not only communicated with beasts, but could control them by having their spirits mingle.
This fear was rooted in the children's mastery of ancient and profound knowledge known as the Old Gods. Their Old God magic was deeply entrenched in the technological advancements of their land, and their unsettling abilities could allow them to transform the realm itself, the physical state of nature. The children of the forest, unlike the Valyrians, did not rely on the burdens of fire and steel. Instead, their strength to their unique relationship to the ground and the world itself. Through their green sight, the children of the forest could glimmer into the future, perceive the hidden workings of the earth, and communicate with the earth in ways humans cannot yet understand.
This is not to say that the green seers did not know lost arts that belong to the higher mysteries, such as seeing events at a great distance or communicating across half a realm, as the Valyrians who came long after them did.
Valyrians, included in their sorcery, knew that they would never be able to take the children head on. That's why their westward expansion stopped in Essos and did not continue in Westeros. This made the children incredibly unpredictable, and their abilities to manipulate the natural world, whether by controlling animals, disrupting the landscape. The Valyrians, although they had mastered the art of their dragons, could not ignore the dangers of the children's powers. Their fear was not such that the physical manifestation of the children could hurt them, but rather could hurt their dragons.
1,000 eyes, 100 skins, wisdom deep as the roots of ancient trees. Watching the flames, Bran decided he would stay awake till Mira came back.
A Valyria's freehold was located in the shadow of the 14th Flames on the direct continent of Valyria's peninsula. The Valyria had harnessed its power of the volcanic ruins. The doom of Valyria, however, happened when the 14th Flames erupted and catastrophe spread out across Essos. The children of the forest were known for the shattering of the arm of Dorne and the flooding of the neck. What is to say, in an ancient ritual, that the children of the forest went to the Isle of Faces and summoned an earthquake, making it so that the 14th Flames would erupt in catastrophe. Let's be honest, the 14th Flames could have erupted at any point, but to kill dragons? This catastrophic event even left the dragons dying in the peninsula of Valyria. How is that possible? The 14th flames and a volcanic eruption is slow, not quickly. So that means that the children of the forest triggered an earthquake that resulted in the catastrophic event. Now, this is possible because theoretically speaking, an earthquake could have easily taken down the Arm of Dorn. The children of the forest can see past, present, and future.
But down here, sleeping and waking had a way of melting into one another. Dreams became lessons. Lessons became dreams. Things happened all at once, or not at all. Had he done that, or only dreamed it?
And in doing so, they know exactly what elements and what key moments in history they need to influence so that they could have Brandon Rivers go to the Night's Watch. Now, you may be thinking, Monica, you're grasping at straws, but hear me out. If the children of the forest did inherently cause the doom of Valyria, maybe it's because they didn't want dragons in Westeros and they were trying to protect it. Why strategically have Aegon the Conqueror have a pathetic dream? Take that away from him. I mean, they have the power, they have the green sight magic. Now, I understand that after the Andals came, the children of the forest were nearly wiped out, pushed back to always winter beyond the wall.
Said Mormont. The first men killed half of them with bronze blades, and the Andals finished the job with iron. Why a glass dagger should...
What's to say they were not at the Isle of Faces by Harrenhal? By them deliberately being there at Harrenhal, it's not that far away from Dragonstone, and it's rumored that Aegon, Visenya, and Rhaenys also traveled into Westeros on multiple occasions. Therefore, they could have manipulated him to have this vision of conquest, of a profound darkness beyond the wall, so that he would conquer. Now, if we truly believe that the children of the forest, Bloodraven, are the enemies, why would they let him know that this huge battle's coming and that they will be fighting each other one day? Maybe, possibly, they did not give him this vision, and perhaps R'hllor actually gave him this vision. But George has stated before that the gods are not real, and that prophecy is tricky and it's hard to truly understand. The children are up to something, at least, even if this theory is not true.
Except in dreams. I have watched you for a long time. Watched you with 1,000 eyes and one. I saw your birth and that of your Lord Father before you. I saw your first step.
No matter what, the children themselves have admitted that they've been manipulating certain events within the main series to get Bran Stark. The fall of that tower was very much orchestrated. Bran needed to sacrifice something of himself so that he can endure the experience and the journey that he's going on now. The children admit this in one of Bran's chapters, and I'll insert it now.
Heard your first word. Was part of your first dream. I was watching when you fell, and now you are come to me at last, Brandon Stark.
The Valyrians freed the children of the forest because, of course, any person who doesn't truly understand something will fear it. It is rooted in the foundation of how much power and influence can be wielded without you knowing. The Valyrians came from power of fire, steel, and dragons. The children embodied everything silent and sacred about the earth: water, air, the ground, the weirwood trees. George dives into elemental magic, but he does it in such a profound way. They are clashing together. What is it to say that the children of the forest are ice and the Valyrians were always fire? But then the question often arises, why would they need Brandon Rivers, someone who comes from the first men blood and someone who comes from the Targaryen blood to manipulate other events. That is for a video for another day. The fear of the unknown, of powers that could not truly be tamed to its full understanding, led the hearts of the Valyrians to not go westward, ultimately playing a significant role in the shaping of their history. The Children of the Forest, with their mysterious abilities, may have ultimately forced the Valyrian freehold to fall onto itself, showing the conquerors what retribution truly was. Whether they did it out of necessity or truly just malicious intentions is a question we will always ask ourselves. Editor's note: as I was diving into editing this week's video, I found crucial evidence backs up my claim even more. And a question that often arose as I was listening to my recording back was why? Why would the Children of the Forest cultivate the doom of Valyria when the Valyrians were afraid of the children? George R.R. Martin has described the unique nature of dragonglass. Martin's statement directly refers to the magical components of dragonglass, particularly killing the others. However, if we strip away the magical capabilities and qualities of dragonglass and only refer it to the real-world obsidian, then obsidian, or volcanic glass, is formed through intense heat and pressure within the earth and volcanoes. In Westeros, while small folk believe that dragons create dragonglass through their fire, maesters explain that the origins and the geographical locations of obsidian dwells in volcanoes. The Children of the Forest utilized dragonglass as an intrinsic tool for survival.
Obsidian, Maester Lewin insisted, holding out his wounded arm, forged in the fires of the gods far below the earth. The Children of the Forest hunted with that thousands of years ago.
Crafting weapons that were sharper than steel and yet fragile and were easily to break, that of porcelain. Beyond the children's understanding, the Valyrians embodied dragonglass to create glass candles, an object that is both mystical and extremely special. What's most interesting of this theory, though, is the Children of the Forest at one point in time had dragonglass.
They worked no metal, but they had great art in working obsidian, what the small folk called dragonglass, while the Valyrians knew it by a word meaning frozen fire, to make tools and weapons for hunting.
But how did they get it? If they were the first beings to ever step foot on Westeros, that means at one point in time, they had to travel to Dragonstone, the only known volcano within Westeros. Specifically, deposits of dragonglass can be found on Dragonstone by Ashai, the Shivering Sea, Skagos, and other places. But deposits have been there over time. To mine dragonglass specifically, so within the 14th Flames of Valyria's Peninsula, there was probably a lot of dragonglass down there. And more specifically, within Dragonstone, a lot of dragonglass is down there.
On Dragonstone, where I had my seat, there is much of this obsidian to be seen in the old tunnels beneath the mountain. The king told Sam. Chunks of it, boulders, ledges.
Plotline within Season 7 of Game of Thrones. But I find the most critical piece of information is that dragonglass is one of the few materials that can harm the others significantly and kill them. It is an extreme source for the children and other places like Skagos who use the dragonglass as a tool to raid and that they carry weapons to protect themselves. So the Children of the Forest were onto something, and it was a significant attribute of their survival.
The Children of the Forest use dragonglass blades, he said. They'd know where to find obsidian. The Children of the Forest are all dead.
Now, this raises a number of questions, because we truly understand that the Children of the Forest were associated with dragonglass. It's stated multiple times, and we know it from the main series and from the point of views of Brandon Stark and Samwell Tarly. The questions that arise is the dragonglass truly derived from volcanic activity or from dragonfire itself? Because if it's dragonfire, that means that the Valyrians dragons had traveled to Westeros at a specific point, and therefore the children had gotten it, but then the timelines don't make sense with that, so it has to be volcanic activity. If volcanic, then the children must have traveled to volcanic site like Dragonstone, the only known active volcano in Westeros, to mine it. Dragonstone's location is an island off of Westeros, as it is not stated specifically that the children of the forest are fish-faring people. However, the children of the forest show a capability to travel large areas of water, such as getting across God's Eye Lake to the Isle of Faces. Now, the God's Eye Lake is notable as a lake, but it is huge in expanse, holding 3 large dragons at the bottom of it. So, it is not an easy journey to cross to the Isle of Faces by any means. This suggests, while not improbable, it is not impossible for them to undertake such a journey to mine dragonglass. However, I find it very interesting that dragonglass is inherently tied to fire and heat, yet the children of the forest are not known for working with fire like the Valyrians. Their understanding of obsidian likely stems natural presence in Westeros, where they could have learned to work it over the millennia. Its old Valyrian name is Frozen Fire.
Dragonglass. The Red Woman's laugh was music. Frozen fire in the tongue of old Valyria. Small wonder it is anathema to these cold children of the other.
Obscured in its dual nature as being both a volcanic heat source that sustained in a plasmic ice state that is notably cold. This duality symbolized the connection of fire and ice, fire being life and energy, connected to that of the Lord of Light, while cold, enigmatic, and connects to the others and death. Melisandre states that this obscurity of dragonglass is significant. The children of the forest orchestrated the doom of Valyria. The rise and fall of Valyria stands as one of the most enigmatic chapters in Westeros and Essos, but closer scrutiny reveals that elements might have not been as unexplained as one might think, could have been meticulously crafted in the children of the forest's benefit, creating such a construction of cataclysmic doom, using their unparalleled mastery of nature forces and their magical elements which we do not understand.
The chosen ones are not robust, and their quick years upon the earth are few, for every song must have its balance. But once inside the wood, they linger long indeed. 1,000 eyes, 100 skins, wisdom deep as the roots of ancient trees, green seers.
The children may have orchestrated the doom of Valyria, laying the groundwork for a prolonged plan, a plan that was critical in the figure like Brandon Rivers over generations to come. The Valyrians knew of the capability of the children of the forest. The Valyrians' dominance stretched across to Essos and beyond, their mastery of dragon garnering them an unparalleled military might and political power. However, their reach extended into Westeros, with the establishment of outposts such as Dragonstone and Driftmark. These strongholds allowed the Valyrians to study the ancient magic within the lands of Westeros, including the weirwood trees and the deeper mystery that tied the children of the forest to them. Such encroachment may have been perceived as a direct threat to the children, who had long guarded the nature and mysterious equilibrium of the land. The timing of the doom is significant. The sudden cataclysmic event of the 14th Flames destroying Valyria's empire in an instant.
The ancient mighty freehold, home to dragons and to sorcerers of unrivaled skill, was shattered and destroyed within hours.
leaving the civilization in ruin. This unparalleled event has often been discussed as a natural disaster, but the children's history of using nature as a weapon against mankind otherwise disproves that theory. From breaking the arm of Dorn to raising the wall, the children will often use whatever they can to protect their lands. The theory that the children of the forest caused the doom of Valyria is not without merit. The 14 Flames, a critical network of volcanic mountains, were a central source of Valyrians' power and wealth. If the children of the forest could harness their magical connection to the earth,
The gods of Winterfell kept a different sort of wood. It was a dark, primal place. 3 acres of old forest untouched for 10,000 years as the gloomy castle rose around it. It smelled of moist earth and decay. No redwoods grew here.
and travel it all the way across Essos, the best possible outcome is if they did it on the Isle of Faces. Garnering enough strength and a powerful sacrifice, this deed could be done. If we believe the legend of the breaking of the arm of Dorn, there was a sacrifice needed in that as well. As I was saying before, as you get to a certain part within the theory, you start asking yourself why. What is the point that the children of the forest would go through all this strength, all this trouble to cause the doom? At this point, the doom of Valyria would have happened when Nymeria and the Andals had already come to Westeros, and then the doom would have happened. So therefore, the idea that the Valyrians coming to Westeros next is significant. But the children of the forest do not think that way. They were dying off. They were in need of stability. So what would their end goal be? There was thousands upon thousands of humans in their lands. Of course, they would be angry, and they would want justice for mankind plaguing their lands and taking the land that was rightfully theirs. So they did the only thing they could do: create a path line for Brandon Rivers. The destruction of Valyria would have served multiple purposes for the children. Not only did it halt the Valyrians' empire from expanding and encroaching in Westeros, but it also shattered their control over their dragons.
It was written that every hill for 500 miles split asunder, to fill the air with ash and smoke and fire so hot and hungry that even the dragons in the sky were engulfed and consumed. Great rents opened in the earth, swallowing palaces, temples, and entire towns.
A power that could have foreseen the doom of the natural world that the children sought to protect. Furthermore, by destabilizing the geopolitical landscape, the children created a conditioning network that was more malleable for the future, the long game, cultivating Brandon Rivers and beyond. I tried really hard not to put this ultimate theory that I have been cooking on for a while in this video, but I feel that it's the only thing that truly makes sense. Children of the forest are smart and intellectual people, or subspecies. They did not cause the doom of Valyria just because they were fearful of the Valyrians traveling to Westeros, but rather they needed them to come to Dragonstone so that they could plant the seeds of Aegon and till present day. I find it very peculiar that they have Bloodraven in a network of weirwoods and how they have manipulated him to their own agenda. I also find it very peculiar that now Bloodraven is manipulating Brandon Stark. Brandon Stark is one of the most powerful green seers to ever be in Westeros that we know of.
The green seers were more than that. They were wargs as well as you are, and the greatest of them could wear the skins of any beast that flies or swims or crawls, and could look through the eyes of the weirwoods as well, and see the truth that lies beneath the world.
The children of the forest had always operated from the shadows, manipulating events to regain their place in the world. Their creation of the others, as it is implied in the TV show, may not fully align perfectly with the books, but their influence over magic, nature, and prophecy remains evident. Their training for Brandon Rivers, also known as Bloodraven, to serve as the three-eyed crow. Bloodraven has perfectly formed spy networks and sorcery within a shadowed reputation, becoming an extension of their will, guiding Branstark to their sacred cave. In the absence of a Night King, the others are portrayed in the book as a carefully cultivated force, while the White Walkers are serving as their commanders. They are not fully conscient. However, for the children's plan to succeed, they require a crucial figurehead to command and lead the others into battle. Bloodraven, already a powerful greenseer, may have fulfilled this world in his prime. However, his advanced age and fading strength proclaimed him to need a successor. Enter Bran Stark, a boy marked by tragedy and bonded to the Weirwood network, who could be carefully groomed to take on such mantle. Bran's journey to the cave and his interactions with the three-eyed crow are steeped in foreshadowing. The books repeatedly emphasize the danger of the darkness Bran must confront.
The wooden man she had glimpsed, though, and the boy with the wolf's face, they were his servants, surely, his champions, as Stannis was hers.
And ultimately embrace. The images of crows symbolize of death, mystery, and manipulation, serving as a warning throughout the series. Old Nan's stories caution that crows cannot be trusted, a sentiment that edges on when Bloodraven refuses to open up about his identity as the three-eyed crow.
Never fear the darkness, Bran. Darkness will be your cloak, your shield, your mother's milk. Darkness will make you strong.
The secrecy raises questions about their true intentions, and the ultimate ramifications of the training will be dire in the end. When I initially wrote this script and recorded this video, I initially included House Dane within this theory, and I decided to take it out, seeing as I believe it does not connect anymore. It doesn't make sense to continue with the House Dane side of things, but I can create a whole separate video of conspiracy theories and the overall connection of House Dane and what their house words could be. I also want to add that I did not go super in depth within the Bran Stark and Bloodraven theory because I have a whole separate video coming out about that very soon. Once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I will be releasing that video. I'm actually currently rereading the books and writing that script. I want it to be one of the best videos I have ever put out. So it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of energy to write that script and record and edit that video. Anyways, with that being said, we can go into the conclusion portion of this video. Conclusion. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It was a little all over the place with some wacky theories. The relationship between the Valyrians and the Children of the Forest is one marked by fear, awe, and in delving between the clash of races, playing with forces beyond one's perspective and self-recollection. The Valyrians, with their dragons and mysterious fire magic, will be a civilization built on cruelty, control of power, and destruction. While the children, though queer, crafted a world where they could be coexisting within the harmonious keen of nature. Despite the technological advancement of magic, the Valyrians wanted more, control over all, and their ancient power clashed with the Children of the Forest. The Children of the Forest threatened Valyria's freehold with their greensight and warging abilities.
Only one man in 1,000 is born a skin changer, Lord Brynden said one day, after Bran had learned to fly. And only one skin changer in 1,000 can be a greenseer.
and the children of the forest knew this. That is why they must take out the Valyrians' opposition when it came to expansion and conquest. I think it also goes more into their fear of the children's ability to control and manipulate forces, and shaping the Valyrians' downfall left an indelible mark on Westeros' history. In the end, the children of the forest, whether in present or past, unified and strengthened their own political means.
An oak may live 300 years, a redwood tree 3,000. A weirwood will live forever, if left undisturbed. To them seasons pass in the flutter of a moth's wing.
In the end, the children of the forest, ever present and ever keen, proved themselves an unmatched force to the might of Valyria and unsettling within the shaping of history. The children of the forest foresaw the cataclysmic event of the doom and knew that they needed to have Daenerys the Dreamer prophesize this vision so that House Targaryen could be the sole surviving house, ensuring the dragons would be coming to Westeros to save off a greater threat, such as the White Walker. If we believe that the Targaryens were always meant to come to Westeros to save us from the White Walkers or the others, therefore this theory would make sense. But I truly believe that the children of the forest needed the Targaryens to come to Westeros so they can make the White Walkers. Without the Targaryen blood backing them, they could not control them like they do in the TV show. Now, I believe that the children of the forest did not create the others. Rather, the others are just a humanoid species already existed, but they want to control them like nobody has ever controlled them before. And because of that, they needed the doom of Valyria to happen so that the Targaryens would go to Dragonstone, and in a few years, Aegon the Conqueror would have a dream of the winter coming to Westeros. Now, it doesn't really make sense why they would give Aegon the heads up, but it all led to Brandon Rivers.
And past, present, and future are one. Nor will your sight be limited to your God's wood. The singers carved eyes into their heart trees to awaken them.
A boy born of first men's blood and the blood of the dragon. As the story of Westeros unfolds, the legacy of the children of the forest remains as an enigma, raising the question, are they protectors of balance and peace, or are they archetype for a power we have not seen before? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere between the ancestral magic continuously to shape the destiny of lives of the land they once called their home. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will be working on an ultimate theory of Bran becoming the three-eyed raven and how he will most likely be leading the pursuit of the others. But that video will be extensive and it will take me a really long time to work on, but keep an open eye out for it. Now, this is my first real theory video, not necessarily saying it's my theory, but I haven't done this format of content and I feel like it's all over the place. So give me some critiques down below if it's good or I need to structure it better. Let me know. Thank you so much for watching again. Watchers beyond the wall, I am out.